biggest bunch of misfits I ever set eyes on.
Good morning, Misfits. You are tuning into another episode of the Misfit podcast. On today's episode, we are going to be talking individual semifinals workouts. I know, the amount of people that are actually doing these workouts is a little bit smaller than we had for quarterfinals last year, but talking through workout strategies, talking through, potentially how you'd warm up, and then the big question of what is the order, what's that supposed to be, that sort of thing. So we'll take a dive into that. Before that, as always, a little bit of housekeeping, a little bit of life chat. The Misfit affiliate Cortez phase starts on Monday, May 12th. That is the official start to the 2025-2026 program track for Misfit affiliate. And if you tune into the podcast next week, you'll hear us go into detail on that. You get a 2-week free trial, StreamFit, SugarWOD, Push Press, just by going to teammisfit.com and clicking on sign up now and then choosing which programming platform you'd like to use. A little bit further down the line, we have off-season block 2 for Misfit Athletics, continuing on the path of strength bias versus conditioning bias. And that is Monday, May 26th. Life chat, gentlemen. What is going on?
Being terrible at golf is in full swing.
Pun intended.
Season started, yeah. Finally getting some good weather out though, so that's nice.
Dude, the weather is amazing.
Yeah. You get like 2 days of decent weather at the end of April that remind you of why you might live in Maine.
It's an abusive relationship though.
Yeah,
Let's not lie. It's like 48 and we're like
how suicidal I was like 2.5 weeks ago. So
I disappeared to Miami. Fuck this.
Yeah, I don't know what this the super long-term viability of being fucking miserable for 6 months out of the year is it's punishing.
The thing that I've heard the most as a retort is the Scandinavian crowd. Like they're all about the winter and like their winter activities. Like they get outside a ton and they, do the they've always got a fire going and they're always making like certain kinds of food and shit like that. I just like...
Yeah, I'm like a 4th generation Italian, aka American, not a Scandinavian. My winter activities don't involve any of those things.
Yep. Seb, what's up, dude?
Dude, I actually have some good news. The first order of business is my cowboy hat finally came in. I was telling Drew about it in Tennessee. So it made its way here from British Columbia, and it arrived yesterday. And I'm pretty pumped to bring that puppy out and wear it. It's custom made for my noggin.
And you said that you'll go it's not like a special occasion specific thing. Like where do you wear that?
I'll probably wear it like anytime I'm not doing anything like athletic, which is never, probably all the time. So yeah. I grew up in a farm, so basically, like when I talk to the guy that makes them, shout out to Patterson Hat Company. It's just I basically told him like, hey, I want the highest quality because I'm just gonna wear it all the time and it's gonna get beat up, and I want it to look the part. Yep. So it's a Spanish buckaroo hat, so it's an homage to my grandfather and growing up in a cattle ranch. So it's pretty cool.
I like the older I get, the more I get like obsessed with like a craftsman, like someone who like takes like an incredibly long amount of time and like attention to detail. Those teapot videos on Instagram. Oh my God, dude. I could probably watch an hour straight of those. It's just someone making a teapot from like start to finish out of clay. It's fucking incredible. The tools that they have and the precision. I'm just fucking laying there. My wife walks in. She's like, what are you watching? I'm like, I'm in minute 9 of this dude's teapot and it's incredible. Yeah, so good.
Yeah, dude, it was a 16-month process and he makes them from scratch. So he probably makes like maybe 25 hats a year because it's
Dang.
only him. And I think he just recently he got a couple of apprentices so he can kind of build a little bit more. But yeah, it's like one of those things that's like you get on a waiting list and then you get a sizing kit and he molds the hat to your head and so it's pretty cool, man. I remember watching the Anthony Bourdain when he went to Willie's Boots in LA to get like his Chelsea custom boots, and it was kind of
Yeah.
the same process where it's like you wait
Yeah.
so long, but you're so excited once you get it because like you know how many hours of craftsmanship went into that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some form of that in my future as I get older. And I don't know exactly what it is yet. Like I've gotten into woodworking a few times, but it's always been like making one specific thing that I wanted or needed and then like didn't continue to do it. That sort of thing. So I need a meticulous hobby for sure. Hunter's golf count?
I think so. I mean, it's
Yeah. Definitely
the
an attention to
combination
detail
of,
kind of a thing.
Yeah, of brain power and physical exertion. It's the
Yeah.
right combination for me. Woodworking's like that. I went through a brief phase of that with a basement that was not really conducive to woodworking, but
A basement that could double
similar.
as a horror movie set.
Yeah, I think it was a primarily a horror movie set that I turned
Hunter's
into
Chainsaw Massacre.
potential woodworking. But yeah, golf
great.
became that for me. But woodworking's cool. Woodworking, that's a
Yeah.
low.
I think part of it for me will be what Carter gets into. Like I'm like it, I don't know. I would learn to play an instrument, learn a new language, get into what like anything like that I think would be cool.
Yeah,
Like I'm legitimately, it's so funny being the like ADD kid that never paid attention in school. Like I'm excited to like get that geometry textbook and just be like, I fucking hold my beer. I got this shit.
You ever heard of
I'm gonna be like
Silver
waiting
Bullet
for him to come
Carter?
home to help him with his homework because I'm excited. Speaking of that, we had his second birthday party this weekend. I joked yesterday that building the balloon arch was top 200 hardest things that I've done in my life. It was more just like the instructions
Guy's
were
thinking about
trash.
getting into woodworking. Hasn't figured out the balloon arch yet.
Holy shit,
That's the
dude! I'm
PVC
telling
pipe
you,
equivalent.
I think I could build a table in the amount of time that it took me to build the balloon arch. And it was funny because I grabbed the packaging for it and went down into the basement because I didn't want him to see it prior to obviously blowing up balloons in the presence of a 2-year-old. Like you don't get the balloon back. Like
Right.
you can't take it and then put it in the thing. So I went down to the basement and it's been, I don't know, 2.5, 3 weeks since I got my wisdom tooth pulled, but I blew up one balloon and I was like, fuck, that hurts. So I went and found the air compressor in the car, blew those bad boys up that way. And then I would say only other like the highlights from that, he had his first like real dose of sugar in his life. Like he eats a ton of fruit, but like had never had, like he had like at a birthday party, he had like a bite of a cookie. But it's always funny to see the reaction. So like he took some frosting and put it in his mouth and he just went more.
Crazy.
Yeah. And then he had pizza as a meal for the first time. He eats a lot of my pizza. Like he just stands next to the stool and says more. And then tells everyone Dada loves pizza. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, he does. It's like, Carter, do you like this? And he's like, Dada loves pizza. But in true fashion, he made it like we cut it up into little squares and put it in his like on his plate, and he made it like halfway through it, and then wanted like beets and kiwi and like other stuff.
Nice.
So there's still a healthy balance going on in there, which is good. But yeah, that stuff is
That's
like,
wild to hear. Parent, like I've got friends who have young kids too, similar age, who talk about like, they because they're in the CrossFit gym, they have a better than average understanding of, food and nutrition and
Yeah.
stuff, and try to give their kids, do the best they can in that regard. But like when you hear one of them talk about like their first a popsicle or a piece of cake or something like that, and how kids are just like, yo, what's up?
Yep.
Like, this
Yep.
is it. It's so easy to see how people fall down that path so easily.
Yeah. 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 His diet is like straight out of a fucking CrossFit manual.
Yeah.
Like
nice.
he just eats meat and vegetables and fruit. That's it. That's all he eats. And he fucking loves it too. Like we haven't really had to like explore a ton, like go outside of that. Like he'll try anything. He's basically the opposite of me.
Yeah.
He'll try anything and likes most things, which is fucking great. The only thing I'm pissed about is he got a double ear infection this weekend. So the day before the birthday party, woke up at 5 a.m. very unhappy. Double ear infection. So we got to do the antibiotics. And his stomach, compared to his friends, is fucking great. Like because of his diet. So
Yeah.
now you got to deal with the, like, especially in babies, you get messes with their stomach a ton, gives them a bunch of like rashes and stuff. So woohoo, good stuff. All right, let's talk about the, what are we going to call it? In affiliate online, not quarterfinals, semifinals.
The semifinals workouts or the affiliate cup
Yeah.
stuff?
No,
Yeah.
no, we're
Whatever-
not talking about the community
whatever-
cup. There's no,
whatever it
I'm gonna tell
is.
you right now, there's no preview. There's no podcast preview for the community cup. Obviously, if you're a misfit and you have questions and you're excited about it, good for you. And you can come to me and I'll answer your questions. But I think a podcast on that topic would support the topic too much. And
Yeah,
I'm
just
not a fan.
Wake me up when you want me to answer a question about it. But
Exactly. All right, Seb, let's bring these bad boys up. So we got 5 workouts. They have from Thursday afternoon through Sunday evening to get them done. It's a pretty good mix of styles, I would say. They like when some of the divisions that people claim that they don't care about come up, it's like the least creative shit that you'll see. Something that looks like it took 20 minutes to write the whole thing. So it is good to see essentially a different style workout across all 5. There's, I would say, one major redundancy, and we can get into that a little bit. There are things that I like about it and things that I don't like about it. But we'll get started with workout number 1, AMRAP 15 minutes, 3 muscle ups, 3 back squats at 275/185, 30-foot handstand walk done as 15 feet out and back. Add 3 reps to the muscle ups and squats every time. The ascending rep scheme, as affiliate coaches, we get a front row seat to the impending doom that they can be when not executed properly. On a pretty regular basis, right? It's like, wow, it's like the 2s were easy and the 4s were easy and the 6s were easy. Let's motor through these. And they have just that death by feel of easy and then so hard. So I'm personally very intrigued at when that's going to happen in this workout. But the cool thing is early on, like pretty gassy to do the large range of motion movement of the muscle ups into the back squat with the bracing. Being upside down normally can, sort of spike the heart rate a little bit, even though it's, pretty short. And then you're working your way through it. And at that point, it becomes like muscle endurance of how many sets are you going to take? How long is it going to take to do your muscle ups? And because you're resting, then you're probably going to be able to reach more on the back squats, which is painful in and of itself. So I don't know what your initial thoughts are on it, Hunter, but it's intriguing because the timing of it, like when you're trying to guess scores, it's like it's not going to be as easy to guess the score without seeing a version of it, just because, like, okay, let's say you made it through the round of 15. That's only like 9 or 10 minutes of work, but it's 45 muscle ups, 45 back squats, and a, not negligible amount of handstand walking.
Yeah, I got to imagine if you did like if you filmed an athlete or just took an athlete's video and had two timers going. One was the timer where somebody was working, like actually under tension, and then the other timer that was, athlete is resting, waiting around, whatever. I almost want to say it'll be pretty similar. Like, so getting 45 reps of each, I feel like would be pretty good. I don't know. It is weird because like you're gonna see athletes who have to break it up or choose to maybe intelligently in the first set. Right. So like, or in probably not the threes, but maybe the sixes, right? Like a 6 snap of muscle.
Nothing wrong with a little 4-2 on the muscle up there.
Yeah, for sure. And then just how long an athlete chooses to stand there and wait to do the next set is obviously kind of where like it almost immediately becomes like, how long are people resting? So like you said, pretty difficult to predict. I think there'll be a, I don't know how like obvious this is to viewers or people about to do it, but I think there'll be a pretty sneaky upper body demand. Not that like that's not like you're gonna end up round 3. You've got 9 muscle ups. Like obviously there's that, but
sure,
holding that barbell in the back rack, I think is gonna actually make the handstand walk and the next set of muscle ups a lot more challenging than people probably think. So, yeah, it's a cool workout. I think it'll be pretty gassy for like gas tank feel for the most part.
First half of it for sure. I mean, even as you get further into it, like doing a set of back squat and that weight for semifinals athletes is like, it's obviously heavy, but it's not like it's strategically heavy.
Yeah, it's strategically heavy.
Probably aren't going to have to re-rack it mid-set. Right?
Yeah, a lot of people are going to be able to not motor through it, but like we'll be able to re-rack strategically and rip out decent sized sets. And that is like the metabolic demand on that is non-trivial for sure. And same with the muscle up. Just a matter of how well your upper body can sustain the tension of that back rack position. And then getting upside down, and then getting up and over the ring. So it'll be curious to see some videos of different types of athletes doing this workout. But it's cool. We haven't seen a workout like that before. I like the fact that there's like the lifting components for semifinals are kind of in. It's either Isabel or there's the heavy back squat here. Seeing a back squat in a workout is something we haven't really seen before, aside from a total or something like that. So that's pretty cool too. I think it'll be an interesting test
for sure. Workout number 2, Seb, pull this bad boy up. This one's the talk of the town. 20 down to 2 by 2s, so 110 reps of double dumbbell overhead walking lunge with 70s/50s. That's right, Seb. Double dumbbell overhead walking lunge. I saw the facial expression. That's how we all felt reading it. And GHD sit-ups. So mentioned the major redundancy. We have 120 plus toes to bar and 110 GHD sit-ups. I don't completely understand why that's necessary. But I like the rep scheme of the GHD sit-ups. I like the idea that you're going to get on the GHD and you're just going to do the GHDs and they become an element of how the whole workout weaves together, and not just do you wreck yourself with GHDs enough to be able to do like 60 fast over and over, that sort of thing. I like that they feel like more like part of the workout. I don't know if you agree with that, Hunter, but I just like, dude, does it always have to be like a chipper set every time we do these?
Yeah, I think it's cool. Like we saw in the Masters qualifier the other year, a smaller set of GHD sit-ups, kind of the GHD placed in a rep scheme that's like a more cardio type stimulus, rather than
Yeah.
what we typically see as, big 3 rounds of 30 or just a big chunk of GHDs. So I think it's good to obviously plug that movement in with a different, it can elicit a different kind of feeling from the athlete depending on,
Right.
whether movements it's paired with and how many reps and whatnot. So instead of the typical, like, we're just going to force you to slow down and stop with a high volume, like a big chunk. This volume of reps is not like unreasonable for a semifinals level athlete or
Right.
someone who's made it to this level and presumably, performs GHDs with some regularity. Like 150 is kind of like, I think of that as like the upper limit for
Right.
pretty much any scenario that we need to ask an athlete to do. Closer to like 75 to 100 for maybe a hatchet level athlete is like, if you can do that without being, you can work yourself up to that without being debilitated. You're in a pretty good spot. But I think it's more like when you compare this one to the toes to bar, the row toe to bar rope climb, it's like it'll be interesting. I could be wrong on this. Maybe I think like the GHDs will. It's what like CrossFit love in pretty much every online competition except for probably the Open. There's a workout with a huge midline demand. And I've said this before, but if you pay attention to main site, like once every 2 weeks or so, there is a deliberately programmed midline intensive workout. And their definition of midline is broader in the sense that like they might think of a goblet squat and a farmer's carry as midline intensive, which it is for sure. But like, the more obvious one is GHD sit-ups or toes to bar or doing toes to bar and then having to climb rope, lifting your legs to climb rope. And then also people don't realize they use their midline on the row until they've done a fuckload of reps and they lean back in their stroke and they're like, holy fuck, there are my abs.
Yep.
So, but as far as like, it is strange that it's, you've got two very obvious hip closing movements, in the GHD and the toes to bar in the same competition weekend. The stimulus is obviously quite a bit different than the two workouts, but it is curious. I guess like the other element is CrossFit does also like to challenge people's grip. There's like a close second to midline testing is grip training of some sort.
Right.
And like row, toe to bar, rope climb certainly covers that. But it'll be very interesting. I think the crux of this is the dumbbells more so than the
what do we think
GHDs.
about the dumbbells?
Well,
That's
I mean,
that's no joke.
yeah.
Like
I
these are
like
not quarterfinals workouts.
No, I mean it's like, yeah, you get an athlete who snuck in after the Open to the inaffiliate semifinals. You're like, hey, you're gonna have to dust those 70s off, figure out how to put them over your head, and then lunge with them.
Right.
Yeah, I think that'll be the crux of the workout for people who can do this workout, like who can actually get the dumbbells overhead. Their overhead positioning is good. Their midline stability is good. Like this is going to suck. This will be a shitty workout, but for a lot of people this is going to be like, can I even stabilize these dumbbells overhead safely enough to do a lunge step, let alone what is it? You said 110 of them. Did that math?
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of heinous looking overhead walking lunge positions that for your average affiliate goer is like, yo, that ain't it. I don't know what movement that is, but that ain't what we're looking for.
And we're going to see the stimulus is going to just be so much different for different athletes that like it's challenging to give generic advice on this, because let's say that you're like middle of the road on those overhead lunges. I don't really think the midline component is going to fuck you up when you get down to like 12, 10, 8.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you're going out and back basically from your GHD. So if you can handle, those first 3 rounds of getting like taking the extra beat to clean and jerk it and get it in a really good position, and you can do 10, put them down, shake it out, and do 10 back, like the writing's going to be on the wall, I think, based on how that goes fairly early. Like I think you'd have to push this really hard for your overhead lunges to be good and then bad.
I mean,
because obviously
like,
the connection between your hips being open and your shoulders being open is that your midline is along for the ride and connecting the two.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that eventually, like I said, I think the limiting factor is just is going to be the actual shoulder stability. Is
Right.
like
Yeah.
your lower. It's like they're kind of beating you up from the ground up, like just enough lower body fatigue and just enough midline fatigue that like stability, like that overhead stability thing is like that, like just holding 70s and 50s overhead to begin with, like just think about it like as a warm-up or accessory movement. Just stabilizing those things overhead is challenging enough. Doing a lunge is obviously even more challenging, and then doing it with a combination of metabolic fatigue, lower leg fatigue, and then midline instability. It's like we're putting a fuckload of demand on your shoulder stability. And that happens.
There's a reason why
at a
we haze
premium for a
people
lot of
so
athletes.
much with things like kettlebell overhead carry, kettlebell front rack carry, farmer's carry. And it's not just like, obviously the main point is the development of those things, but like when you're doing those accessory pieces and you're like, like shaking, trying to keep them up over your head, you know what it feels like to be flirting with failure. And like a lot of times people will be doing like one of the ones that makes me the most angry is the toe to bar. Like I've seen you do your dead hangs and like look like you're like pinching the bar with like your fingers like gonna fall off the bar, and like you push yourself to this like 10 out of 10 discomfort in a dead hang, and then when it gets to 6 or 7 out of 10 discomfort in the toe to bar, you have to come down because you can't hold on to the bar anymore. Like, so I like to push people mentally to that place where it's like, this is what it feels like for you to not be able to hold dumbbells over your head anymore. And it's like, are you going to be able to mentally keep it together to get, your 9th and 10th rep before you get back on the GHD, coming back in that direction? Because it's like the athlete who's like has good mobility and is basically just doing lunges is not an apples to apples comparison of someone who's like using all their might to walk 10 steps. It might look similar, but the demand of it is just so much different.
Yeah. I think it's also kind of it'll be a good wake up for a lot of athletes, especially maybe less experienced athletes. Like CrossFit focuses so heavily on that, like kind of the dynamic core to extremity movements and whatnot, and other elements like isometrics often get kind of put by the wayside in favor of more dynamic movements. It's like, how many athletes do we know who can hang onto a pull-up bar and just string together dozens and dozens of toes to bar, but you ask them to hold an L sit and they're like, I can't do this for more than 10 seconds. It's like, same thing with the overhead. It's like, I can cycle shoulder to overhead, but don't ask me to stabilize 2 independent objects overhead, because I just don't have that. You don't have that, the stability in like the small musculature required for that to be done safely. So there's going to be a lot of sad shoulders after this weekend from
this is a wild one. And it's another one where predicting the time when there's like 10 minutes of work, but that 20-minute cap is intentional. They've done the testing, they know. So it's like,
again,
how
massive
long
spread.
Are you going to be standing around in this workout? Like, are you going to stand around for 8 minutes?
Yep.
Are you
Definitely
going to do 8
one of
minutes
those
of
workouts
nothing?
for people to know, like to know what their enemy is in this workout, and if it is, assuming it is those dumbbells, it's like you gain nothing by ripping through those GHDs. Like go ahead, like get through them 20 seconds faster than everybody else, and then just stare at your dumbbells for longer.
Right.
It'll be another interesting one to watch. Good bit of shoulder demand too. Sneaky overhead demand in these first two.
Yeah.
And then you go to
I'll say it right now. If you don't know what opens your shoulders, like thinking like old school K-Star, like test retest, I've got my rib cage pinned down, palms facing, thumbs back. I put my arms up over my head, and then I go do something and I see if I can improve that. And then I go do something and I see if I can improve that. Like shoulders and hips going into this workout, you could be talking about 100 places on the leaderboard based on your mobility routine and your warm up.
Yep.
Floss your shoulders. That's for damn
real.
sure. All right. Workout number 3 has been talked about plenty. We don't have to spend an insane amount of time on this. Heavy Isabel is here. So there's a potential for people to do this 3 times. So 30 snatches for time, 225/155. The best athletes in the world will power snatch 50 to 100% of these reps. Obviously, the 100% power snatch is a bit of an outlier on both sides, but it is something that happens. And then in between there, you have the skill of, do you know how to switch when you need to? Do you know how to intentionally do a power snatch and then do a squat snatch? Because the failing into a squat snatch, or the we could call it the Tony, getting into that power snatch position where maybe you're getting yourself as low as possible without bending your knees a whole lot is a little bit of an issue. So having that skill, I think, is incredibly important. But it's really it's just this race against the clock of is it every 5 seconds, every 6 seconds, every 10 seconds, every 15 seconds? Can you be ahead of that early and then settle into it and then maybe snag a few quicker reps to finish? It's a good workout. It's a representation, I think, of progress in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
when you watch people do this, like watching this at Mayhem was wow. I keep saying it and I'm going to keep saying it. And it's the reason why I'm still able mentally to be all in on this sport is the progression of the athletes is so absurd. If someone can figure out how to run this show, they're going to have a show. The rate at which people are progressing just blows my mind. So this feels like a way for them to be hey, remember when you were cool if you could do Isabel in 3 minutes? Someone's going to do this workout, not in 3 minutes probably, but pretty damn close to that.
Well, yeah, I mean, is there anybody currently think you could that could do a 3 minute heavy Isabel?
Seb, the top time at Mayhem, if you go to the Mayhem Classic website, you can get to their leaderboard pretty quick. The top time at Mayhem was mid-3s, I think.
Jesus,
for men,
that's just fucking wild.
Workouts, if you sort by workout 2, what was Guy? He was 358. And that was not, I'm telling you right now, he got 358 because Nick Matthew had already gotten 403. That was not as fast as he could go. Yeah. So I mean, is there a 3.5 minute? Is there a 3.5 minute time? Oh, it's crazy. Yeah. It'd be interesting to see if that exists. One thing I will say is there's one thing that's really cool here is there's a sneaky fitness component. When they were talking about on the women's side who is going to win, it was is the winner the strongest person that's here, or is the winner a top 10 lifter that's got that that motor? And it was the latter for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Because
I mean, the difference between the number 1 weightlifter and the number 5 weightlifter at that level is 10, 15 pounds, maybe,
right,
in a 1 rep max snatch, but difference in 5K run time, for example, probably a bigger spread there. So
Sure. Yep.
yeah, definitely.
And they don't have to
It's
move
a
the barbell. That would be
strength
one
test
other
for
thing that would
a lot of
subtract 10, 15 seconds from a time.
is what?
Just not having to move the barbell. A lot of them were like
Oh, yeah.
unbelt, kick the barbell forward, walk up to it, kind of take their time, that sort of deal. There's no hiding from like people were asking me like, oh, what are my athletes yesterday? What do the instructions say? And it says turn around and perform 30 snatches. Period. Like that's it. So there's no moving anything.
At go.
All right,
turn around and
workout
complete 30 snatches.
number 4.
Nice quick
This
start.
this might be the coolest workout,
Yeah, stand by
like-
Misfit affiliates.
right? Every 2 minutes for 5 rounds, 10 shuttle runs, 10 clean and jerks at 135/85, lol on the 85. Max lateral burpee over the bar in remaining time. To give people context, that's about a 90-second buy-in for a lot of athletes. So you have 30 seconds to flop around like a fish on the ground, staying as low as possible, bebopping back and forth, doing a lateral burpee over the bar, and then you have a 1-minute rest. So the strategy of it, like this is definitely one where I want an athlete to know the feel before they do this workout. Like this is a test round, maybe on primer day, sort of a situation, just to know, because like if you're getting 10, 15, if the range is 10 to 15 lateral burpees or whatever that you're going to get, is it even possible to go hard enough in those to ruin the next round with a 1-minute rest? Like I think it's possible to ruin a round cumulatively by running as fast as you can and doing touch and go as fast as you can. And then you have, 35 or 40 seconds. And oh my God, like that changes things. But I'm curious about like when an athlete, if they dial it back a little or they don't, what is the actual aftermath of that? And we could be talking just 2 or 3 extra reps. Like, does that mess you up by round 4? Or is it just like racing? Like once you get there, you've just got to stomp the gas pedal.
Yeah, I think by the time you get to the burpees, your burpee pace is dictated by how quickly you choose to get through the first, if you're more methodical through the run and the clean and jerks, then you can obviously push a faster burpee pace. If you push the pace through the first 2 things and you have a little bit more time to burpee, then you have to be a little bit more mindful. But it's kind of a troll. I didn't realize it said for total reps, it is in fact like your score is just your burpees. So you get no points for those 50 clean and jerks and jerks and 50 shuttle runs. So, which
if you want to qualify for the CrossFit Games, is every rep of this workout touch and go?
For the cross,
it's 11 people qualify.
That's 10 clean and jerks, 20 burp. Yeah. Oh man. I don't know if it's all 50 touch and go. It's probably a round or 2 of that, and then maybe 6-4, something like that. Going to be a lot of sad low temp bumper plates that are getting dropped and hopefully not moved or not moving, bouncing around on folks. But yeah, this is a great engine test for sure. There's
some smaller athletes that are licking their chops looking at this, because like a smaller woman, little bit of strength, little bit of power.
85 pound. What the fuck are we doing here? 85 pound.
I think it just
barbell?
comes. I think it's a. They probably
math
test it, and
convenient
the
thing?
buy-in is probably different. Like in terms of timing, I don't know. That's how I assume those decisions
There's
are
just
made.
every once in a while. There's just like it was the same with the thruster.
Right.
I don't fucking. But it's 95 and it's 95 and Grace and Isabel. Like
Right.
Is it just a plate math thing? Like it's easier to slide 25s on the 35-pound barbell than it is to find a 5-pound plate, or is it legit just the testing component?
I'd hope it's the testing component. If you don't have 5s, You got to have 46 judges and 12 cameras and whatever, but you
Yeah.
don't need to have fives. Like if it's based on that, that's
That
a
would be
tough pill for me to
hilarious.
swallow,
That'd
right?
be hilarious. Yeah. Yeah. Man, I'm trying to think about what the faster end of, because you could do those shuttles in. I think you'll see top end athletes with closer to like 40 seconds, 40 or 45 seconds for burpees. But
I just
like,
don't know if that's worth it. I
I
don't
don't
know.
either.
I know that that's possible.
Yeah.
I just don't know that buy-in is worth it, because if your
The 2
buy-in,
on 1 off is so hilarious too. That's such a troll. That's such a troll. They
what
do
I
it
will say
all
though
the
is at the
time, too.
highest levels, like that will be enough rest.
Yeah. No,
And
I
I'm
think
not talking about very many people. I'm talking
Yeah.
about like 100 people, men and women
and
combined.
that clean and
But-
jerk bar for a lot of those athletes is not the same as it is for a hatchet athlete, like
Right.
who will need
Yeah.
to turn that into singles that hopefully get done before the time
Right.
the end of the interval. But oof.
I just like the forced, like it reminds me of when they did Jackie and they had to row at a certain pace.
Yeah.
Like when you take that window and crunch it down into 2 minutes, you don't get to make a strategic decision about how you're going to attack the barbell. Like
Yeah.
if you're really good at, if you want to do the Kenzie Riley and like I broke it up, but I like rode the bar down and started clean and jerking again, that's fine. But like if you do a minute of shuttles and then 10 singles, like your window to do clean and jerks or to do burpees is almost non-existent.
Yeah. It's a super fine line, because my initial instinct talking more about it is that you need to it's better to just find like your maximum but sustainable shuttle run clean and jerk pace, and then
Yeah.
you do push the burpees, because I think like just like rep speed wise, like the burpees are the fastest, and you're gonna have such little time to do them that like I think it's
You got to put your eggs into that basket.
You temper the running and the clean and jerks enough so that when you get to burpees, you can burpee pretty quickly. I think if you go too quickly through the first 2 things and you can't burpee fast, not only are you not going to get more reps, but you also probably fucked yourself for the subsequent rounds. So,
Right.
yeah,
And that exact right
doozy.
strategy is probably hard to find, because like
it's
you're
a
going to
difference
have
of
plenty
five
places,
seconds, 5 seconds
Right.
here or there.
but you're going to have two people going side by side at an affiliate that have an opposite strategy that are going to end up in a similar place.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna be a bit more methodical and it'll be a minute 35, but then I'm stomping the gas pedal and the other person's like, I'm giving it hell and I'm gonna be done in a minute 25. But then things start to slow down, they come back to that average, and it's like who ends up winning in the end, if let's say that they were a similar athlete.
Right? Yeah, I don't know. The one willing to be the most sad, I think.
Probably. Dude, that component of this, like what happens to you when you get into an intense amount of pain, how you react to that. Like,
Yeah.
did you accept before the workout started, and there are a few of them, like that this is going to hurt really bad, and are you going to like have a grin on your face, or are you going to think poor me? The difference
Yeah.
between your scores in those two headspaces are vastly different.
And I mean, I think if you're like, there's a pretty small number of athletes, I would say, that could push the other workouts hard enough to actually enter that, like, how bad do you want it sort of phase. Like every other workout is just going to stop you. Like the workout's going to stop you. I think this is the only one where your low end qualifier is like, hey, this is where you can stand out a little bit if you have an engine and some grit. Every other workout's like you just get stopped by your capacity versus your desire to be uncomfortable.
Yep, for sure. All right. we have a 30-minute AMRAP coming up, Seb. Here she is. AMRAP 30 minutes, 1K row, 30 toes to bar, 6 rope climbs. Surface level, I like a 30-minute AMRAP, and by I like it, I mean I like to program it. I like to get athletes prepared for it.
Yeah, you like to do it as well. Big, long, slow
I mean,
guy.
honestly, at this point, I can go slow for 30 minutes. That's fine. I do think this is one of those moments where it's like I do think us leaning into going long a lot and biasing rope climbs just because there is a CrossFit community-wide inefficiency in that movement. I'm happy with seeing something like this for our athletes for sure. There's a lot of strategy that goes into this, because there is this is one of those workouts where it's easiest to cross the line that you can't return from. If you row a little bit too hard and overreach in your gymnastics sets to begin the workout, you'll probably have about 15 minutes in the tank of that sort of work. And then obviously with the row, it does not pay to like speaking to some of the women doing this, the amount of effort that it takes to row a 1K at a 201 versus a 205. And then that person is dead and you're not, and they go to chalk up one extra time and you guys are now tied. It's like, should I have done that? Like, should I have gone there?
Yeah.
Or is your, opening set of 10 toes to bar or whatever after the 1K row done the second you get off the rower?
Yeah. Yeah, distance is weird for that reason, right? You could
It really
it's
is.
a 10, even like you go even bigger than that and say like I'm a dude who's going to row at a 150. Maybe that's more of a pace that athletes are thinking they would be like, yeah, I can hang at a 150, and it's like, well, what if you row at a 2-minute pace? It's like, that's too slow. It's like, okay, so over 1,000 meters, that's 20 seconds. Like, I promise you I can find 20 seconds real quick within 30 toes to bar and 6 rope climbs. Especially if you rode at a pace that was not appropriate for you. So I think about it in those terms, like, don't let the number on the monitor fool you into being like, this is too slow. Because odds are someone who's going a 5, 10, even 15-second split faster than you, 10, 20, 30 seconds is just so easily found over the course of those 36 other reps. And then I promise you they are not going to get back on the rower and feel the same as they did that first, that on that first row. So,
yep. The toes to bar leading into the rope climbs is quite the nasty little trick, because oftentimes with something like a set of 30, you are pushing capacity at the end of your set. Like you've got 5 left, say, and if it was right smack in the middle of the set, you wouldn't do all 5. Like they don't feel quite right. You've got that, like, I really got to push way back into the bar to get my hips along for the ride. If you take yourself to that place prior to 6 rope climbs, especially round 2, round 3, round 4, etc., like that's a problem. So not only are you doing the toes to bar and you're breaking them up in a way that is just good for the toes to bar in a vacuum, you're also breaking them up as if there's this like horrendous version of the same movement coming up next.
Yeah, this is the like the first, I think it was the first year of semifinals, GHD rope climb pistol. It's like this is just another iteration of that. We've seen the GHDs, pistols, and muscle ups, and it's all just kind of testing the same thing here. It's midline stamina and movement efficiency. And there's obviously a grip component here, but I think that it's like long enough where I think the midline component will outweigh the grip element. But
For most
another,
athletes, I
another very
think that's
muscly workout.
yeah. I think well, you have to strategize it to make that as like least true as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Like so that you can just work for 30 minutes, like get through that kind of work. And you have to know on the rope climbs, like what's going to happen to your midline and what's going to happen to your grip will be different athlete to athlete and then different at different points in the workout. Because unfortunately, most athletes will in round 3, round 4, start over pulling early pull on the row. That will completely change. And you think about strokes per minute over the course of 4-ish minutes, then that becomes like an extra component there. And knowing if my midline is fucked versus my grip is fucked, how to climb a rope is different. And if you're good at climbing rope, it's probably fairly subtle, but like the get your knees as high as you can thing, we don't love that in general anyways, but like even
Good luck.
even in a what would be a normally okay range, to get that like 2 to 3 pull rope climb, that sort of thing, that style of lifting your knees up could be too aggressive to do over and over and over for set of 6, set of 6, set of 6. So then what that means is like every time you add a climb, like you have to be that much more efficient on the rope. And like like signals coming from your body with your grip and your midline are going to beg you to do some of the ugliest fucking rope climbs ever. And you're talking about finding 20 seconds, finding 30 seconds. It's right there. It's on that rope. I don't care where someone else is at that I'm racing. I don't care how I feel. I'm going to be locked the fuck in on climbing the rope the way that I know how to, where I'm standing up through my legs and then moving my arms. And like, I'm not, creating weightlessness by doing a strict pull-up on the rope, something you see a lot maybe at the affiliate level once those start to go. So you want to go, you don't like rowing, you're not big, you want to go find some time in this workout, like lock in on climbing the rope the way that you're supposed to. That will change everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a sport. Is the highest level of the sport just turning into like muscular stamina workouts that the fittest athletes on earth can just, because their capacity is high enough, they can just make it like metabolically demanding? Like, can't help but see some of these semifinals workouts that are just like, it's like the stimulus is so much different for the high level athlete. And I guess that's, a nod to like the scale, like the need for scaling and stuff like that. But like,
yep.
Man, I feel like we've still historically seen and been able to beat up high level athletes, beat their hearts up versus their muscles.
Sure.
And
yeah.
Is that just the way the sport is trending? Is that just a temporary thing? Is that a result of the athlete progressing? Or is this just like, is the train going off the tracks a little bit? And
yeah,
I'm definitely the first person to notice it and put it out in the world.
Well, like we talked about it, not on the podcast, but the idea of an open style AMRAP for the highest level athletes is a problem because of the reps that are in it. It's like, is it necessary to ask a games athlete to do 200 burpees, 200 snatches, and like a bunch of lunges? Like,
Sure.
do we need to like, it's essentially a punishment for being fit, that sort of thing. I think one issue is I want to test these high skill movements. I want to make sure that is like a really important element of this. And we have, I don't know how many people it is, 2,000 people. You know what I mean? Like, is that a component of it? Like, let's slap AMRAP on this.
Yeah.
So we can protect that, because obviously in a competition, in an in-person competition, for time is basically the only thing that they do. And then we get to decide how far up that, for instance, workout one, how far up that ladder are they going to go? And like, maybe it's like the worst athlete there hits muscle endurance in the round of 9, but the best, it's still gassy in the round of 12, and we call it somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's
there's
funny
just,
that it goes all the way back to us saying that one of the representations of the fittest people that have ever done the sport is we have all of our categories in terms of cardio versus muscle endurance versus gas, and they make everything cardio, or they trend and raise the bar by making everything cardio.
Right.
So the question is, like, are the goalposts getting moved out too far for that to be a thing? Like, are we just going to have a bunch of people standing around in their gym waiting to do lunges and muscle ups?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, there's obviously limitations to the online format here, because otherwise,
Yes.
it'd be pretty straightforward to send people out on a fucking couple rounds of an 800-meter run and protect the athlete
Sure.
in that regard. But I just feel like I don't know. I can think of at least a half dozen ways to test a different. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm seeking, if I'm trying to find a workout that is accessible to more athletes, or if I'm just griping about the fact that a lot of these tests are just very just testing muscular stamina.
Right.
Yeah, and
They definitely are.
they definitely are, for sure. And I mean, but there's just such a small number of those participants that are going to be challenged, like, as metabolically as
Right.
everybody else is just going to be like, well, I'm physically incapable of doing these movements.
Well,
Whereas-
we joke about this at the affiliate level. Most of the people who can't do the workouts in the way that they probably should also don't execute the way that they should. So at least their heart rate will be at 180 for 30 minutes.
Yeah. Your
You know,
brain's at 180.
Like fucking, 145/155 is the pace for someone who's going to get 3 rounds. It's like, eee! That's a little fast. That's a little too fast. So yeah, I mean, I like that the styles are mixed up. I like that there is a nice long workout. I like that there's strategic elements essentially across the board. That is one gripe that I have with some open workouts at the highest level. It's just like, just go the whole time, and it's a toss up of like what the size of the athlete is, and maybe minor things with movement efficiency. The GHD total bar thing is like, we probably could have just had we could have had a pushing gymnastics movement. That would have been nice, but I know that that's off the fucking table. That's another one where it's like, you don't have any 5s in your gym. Like, is it because they're so hard to judge? I don't know.
You're talking about like handstand push-up movements and stuff? I mean,
I'm never going to be shocked by muscle up, toe to bar, rope climb. And then like, yeah, we'll handstand walk, but it's in 15 feet segments separated by a shitload of back squats and muscle ups.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the judging element is just thinking about kind of some of the pushing movements that we have to
Sucks.
use. Shoulder to overhead, dumbbell, handstand push-up, like wall walk. When they do wall walks, do we do that? We did that in the open. Yeah, I guess
There is
that would,
plenty
that would
of
be,
overhead
That would
in
actually, if they
this,
said
though.
that, yeah, exactly. Well, I was gonna say that it's like, just because it's not a pressing movement doesn't mean there's like, is there an athlete who is a poor presser but does well overhead? Can you be a poor presser but be good overhead? Is that a thing?
I'm trying to think. Not really. No.
Yeah, I mean,
So much of it
like,
relies on access to strength when it comes to the upper body. So there's definitely a
Right.
mobility component that is like much more present than in
That's
other
one thing that
movements.
I like about, as especially, I think they tend to do this as the level gets higher, but like, there is a mobility demand, whether it's direct or indirect.
Oh yeah.
The lunge, the even the back squat muscle up, obviously the snatch, where you need to be able to squat snatch unless you're just one of the top 5 in the world. But I like when they do provide, like, hey man, like, good luck with those lunges, Brooke.
Seriously. Yeah, I'm really
But
wondering
yeah,
who was a shoe-in to go to the CrossFit Games that has no chance now. That person exists.
sure.
The funny thing too is, okay, so one thing that I will say that I know exists, and I won't say the athlete's name, but like perennial top 20 athlete in the world on the men's side, really good at like cycling a barbell overhead. As of a very long time ago, could not do double dumbbell lunges.
Yeah.
Like zero. So those are 70s. If you couldn't do them with 50s, like, so that person exists.
Right.
Someone who
Yeah.
can get away with bad positioning overhead until they're asked to do it with independent objects versus having the connection either to the floor or to the barbell.
Sure. Yep. That's a good point. Yeah.
Well,
Good luck, everyone. I know how it goes.
yeah, I mean, I like the, I don't know. There's just moments where it feels like the effort or the like having a pulse on the community is way off, and it feels like there was a bigger effort put into putting these together than some of the previous stuff that we've seen. So I for my own personal sanity have to search for silver linings when it comes to CrossFit HQ related things.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think they are good tests for the targeted community, and it's a bit of, I wonder what the effects are. How many are there athletes who make it to this level and then are immediately disenchanted by participating because of they just got dumped on with these 5 workouts, maybe 2 of which they're like physically incapable of doing?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be an HQ production without alienating a large group of people.
Fuck. I mean,
Clip it.
To be
Just
the
kidding,
yeah,
just
I mean, to
kidding.
be the devil's advocate. No, you can clip that, and I'll be the devil's advocate. It's like
No,
we're
don't
trying to
clip
find
it,
the
but yes.
fittest, the fittest men and women on earth to go to the CrossFit Games. That is by nature an exclusive. Like, there is an exclusive nature to that. So, I think that was part.
Guess
That's
who
part
pays
of the
for that
point
to happen,
of-
Hunter?
Yeah, fair enough. To be fair, again, like that was to the point I made of just like, is the top end of the fitness spectrum just like as it's any, and maybe it's just the natural evolution of a professional sport where it's like, oh, it turned out like Steve
You don't
from
get to
down
play
the
pickup
street-
basketball with LeBron?
yeah, like turns out like Steve from down the street in 1920 could like go to his day job and then also play for the Celtics, and it's like, well, now that's not how it
Not so
was.
much.
10 years ago, Hunter could squat snatch 155 like a boss and sniff a regionals floor, and it's like, now
Yeah.
good luck. Again, 30 days for me to complete heavy Isabel. Although based on today's Misfit affiliate snatch session, it will take me substantially longer than 30 days to snatch 225 30 times.
I almost ended the podcast without talking about the order.
Don't just
So-
fucking do it. Just do it in whatever order you want. Good luck.
I'll give you guys a peek into how we would think about something like this. We've got central nervous system demand. We've got muscle activation. So anything that's kind of high rep and what that would implicate. And then we've got movement interference. So easiest one on the movement interference would be, do we want to do toe to bar and GHD back-to-back workouts. Probably not, right? Central nervous system one is tricky because the workouts that require your central nervous system to really be, at the tippy top, high HRV would be something like Isabel. And it doesn't do that much to your central nervous system, which just feels counterintuitive. Whereas the final workout, you can get away with doing, I think you can get away with doing that one on Sunday, especially if you only do one on Saturday. But the aftermath is this huge CNS dump, being at that level of intensity, super grip intensive, for 30 minutes. Like on Monday, your HRV is going to be in the shitter. So we have to take both of those things into account, right? Like the example would be, you probably wouldn't want to do workout 5 on Saturday and then Isabel to finish. Like you wouldn't want to put yourself into that deficit and then go do it. And then from a muscular standpoint, I mean, there's a little bit to the back squat, I would say, but not crazy. There's just not enough time in that workout for that to be like doing 200 wall balls or something like that. It's not going to have that same kind of effect.
It's going to make you sore, but I don't think it would be anything an athlete at that level is unfamiliar with and able to work out in the morning and get ready to go again. It could depend on how they do Isabel. If it's 30 squat snatches, that might be a little bit different. But yeah, none of these. We were talking about this yesterday, and that my initial thought was like, it's always like the GHD workout is last. Like for the age group semifinals, it was like do the 30s. What were the movements? Burpee, toes to bar. I don't remember the other two movements. It was basically like your midline is going to be fucked. You have to do pull up. That's right. Pull up and I think there was one other move. Oh, a handstand walk, like similar to this one, like a negligible
the 15-15
handstand walk. It's like, I don't think this for the highest level athlete, the volume of GHDs is not massive. And then also, like, depending on who you are, how long this, like, if it takes you 20 minutes, like I could do 100 GHDs over the course of 20 minutes and I'd be a little bit sore the next day, but I wouldn't be debilitated versus previous workouts where it's like you're about 100 of them in less than 10 minutes in sets of 30. That's very different. So I think there's less like next day ramifications muscularly as there have been in the past, but there's a lot of movement interference.
I think so. I know of some athletes talking about doing workout 5 early on, and that central nervous system demand of the aftermath of it, and then your grip. Like we're looking at muscle ups, we're looking at there's grip component to holding those dumbbells overhead. Isabel is pulling, clean and jerks, like that sort of thing. So, I personally think most athletes should be doing Isabel first and the 30-minute AMRAP last. There's obviously the idea of some athletes like to do all 4 workouts in the first, all 5 workouts in the first 3 days to give them, am I retesting, like that sort of thing. But I really like putting it in one or Isabel first, the AMRAP last, and then the in-between, like I sense Isabel isn't going to do as much to an athlete. I think you got to pick what makes the most sense with the other ones to do 2 on Friday, and really try to space them out kind of AM, PM. My mind goes to the muscle up one first, and then the dumbbell GHD second on that day. I think
on Friday or Saturday.
On Friday, and then Saturday would just be the burpee one.
And then Sunday would just be the
Yeah.
Workout 5.
So there's elements of how close together you're going to put all of that squatting. If Isabel is all squatting, so that would be a consideration there. Some athletes are in a time zone or have a schedule where it actually would make sense to do 2 on Thursday. And then if you do 2 on Thursday, then you can just go 1-1-1, which honestly, with the amount of volume that these athletes do, like at that point, it's like they're going to be able to bring it once a day for 3 days after that.
Yeah. Is there a scenario where you would tell an athlete where you would, like, aside from like a schedule requirement, to try to do like 1 on Thursday, 2 on Friday, rest on Saturday, and then like a morning, afternoon on Sunday? I know typically we like to save Sunday for like a retest, and especially if you're trying to qualify for the games, like you might want to have
Right.
that might not
Yeah.
be a viable solution. But like, I feel like the first year, the quarterfinals year, there were some instances where we were like, oh, let's make Saturday a rest day, and I feel
Yeah.
like we've kind of gone away from that just because of like maybe it just makes more sense to just kind of do the one
I
a day
think
thing.
because the volume isn't crazy for this level of an athlete, like in a lot of instances, the intensity of 5 workouts in 4 days, plus a potential retest for a quarterfinals level athlete, like it does make sense to, hey, let's go 2 and 2 and have that rest day.
Yeah.
But a lot of that just depends on the programming, right? Like what are we stacking together versus what we're spreading out? I would say I think you just have to use the days. Like they're going to
Sure.
give you 4
Yeah.
days. Like we might as well kind of spread that out, because you're looking at, like, I don't want to say deload because the intensity is so high, but like attacking one workout for anyone who is even sniffing the possibility of going to the games is like, okay, well, like what's next? That kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any final thoughts on online in affiliate triple judge semifinals? No fives.
How many judges? I hope that's what they call it. No fives. How many judges do you have to have?
2.
Is it the same thing?
Yep.
2
Head
judges,
judge.
17 clocks.
Yep.
No fives. Don't you
No
fucking
fives.
put-
One of your
don't you
judges has
dare.
to be hanging from the rafters. Bird's eye view only.
Yeah, no, it'll be a good. There's gonna be a wild spread on first place and like first place and 100th place, or like first place, even like first and 50th place in like a given workout. The spread is gonna be fucking wild.
Yeah. Yep.
Nope. I think good, like, cool test. Another like wow factor as far as like the evolution of the sport from like just the athletes who are really, I mean, not even the evolution of the sport, the evolution of the athletes who are dragging the sport with them, as far as like that wasn't hard enough, make it heavier, make it harder. Not to be confused for the average affiliate goer, where making it heavier and harder is not necessarily the idea, but definitely a pretty cool evolution of the sport from at the top, where it's like, this is a fucking in affiliate semifinal. You putting 2 70-pound dumbbells over your head and lunging with it 100 times. Like,
How many people have to go to Dick's Sporting Goods to buy their 70-pound dumbbells?
Oh man, remember
They don't
that?
have
What
them.
year was that when they had the 70-pound dumbbell snatched? It was like toilet paper during COVID. It's like, oh, fuck,
Dude, the
what's
hundo, the first, I mean, I think that was all the way back to like 2011 or 2012. They did the 100-pound dumbbell snatch at regionals, and we called like
that's right.
50 stores to find it.
Well, and they had the 80-pound dumbbell too. Remember, it was like the 80-pound dumbbell snatch when everybody tore their pec.
Oh, the good old days. The glory days. I have separate messages for what I would consider 2 camps of misfits and the community at large following this. So if it's in the realm of possibility of you qualifying for a semifinal because of this, So there is some backfilling that's going to happen from multiple scenarios for semifinals. We don't want to forget about those people. And then the people trying to qualify for the games. There's been a lot of advice in terms of mobility and you can obviously contact us about warm-ups and stuff like that. But that mental aspect of keeping your shit together over the course of an entire weekend, and digging in and sort of pushing back against the pain and resistance, I think is so important, and probably one of the only things that can separate people at the top, because the people at the top are so packed in together. It's crazy. So these little things like, sleep the night before and nutrition and recovery and mindset and all of that will make all the difference in the world. And then our athletes who are going to come in 200th to 1,000th to whatever, once again, this is one of those, this is like you versus you tracking what you're capable of, requires you to treat this like you could qualify for something, or there is like a very distinct reason why you're coming into this and going as hard as you possibly can and giving your best effort. I know that when you're in that in-between zone and like an online qualifier and there's like probably nothing's going to come after that, it can be hard to go there, but that's the only way that you're going to find out what you're capable of, what you need to work on. Is it even possible for you to get to that level, that sort of thing. So the mental buy-in of, the 500th place athlete is just as important. It's just a little bit different because you're essentially battling with yourself the entire time versus other people on the leaderboard.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Did we do it?
We did.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Misfit podcast. Make sure you head to teammisfit.com, click on sign up now to get your 2-week free trial on StreamFit, SugarWOD, or Push Press. The Cortez phase starts for Misfit affiliate on Monday, May 12th. Make sure you head to the link in bio on social media to get signed up for any of our competitive programs here with Misfit Athletics or the new GPP program. Off-season Block 2 gets started Monday, May 26th. We'll see you next week.
Later.